Hi, this is Jason DeCanio from the Queens New Yorker, and it's once again time to look at Anchor. Yes, Anchor. If you haven't heard, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. Yes, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of The Legacy of Queens. Today is episode 4 on this Sunday, November 15th, 2020. And today we are tributing a very famous actor and comedian, author, known especially for his insult comedy and his film roles including Run Silent, Run Deep with Clark Gable, Kelly's Heroes with Clint Eastwood, and Casino and with Robert De Niro. And beginning in 1976, he enjoyed a 2-year run starring in the NBC television sitcom CPO Sharky and had his own sitcom. Well, a headline performer at Las Vegas hotels, casinos, and peripheral member of the Rat Pack via friendship with Frank Sinatra, he received widespread exposure as a frequent guest on talk and variety shows, including The Dean Martin Show, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, and Late Show with David Letterman, and later voicing Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story franchise. Who am I talking about? Well, we're attributing a Queens native. Tonight, or this afternoon, we're looking at Don Rickles, the man who called his audience hockey pucks, on this edition of The Legacy of Queens. Thank you. All right. Yay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Great audience on this Sunday. All right. Okay. Very nice. Okay. So, as you know, in our introduction, we're going to be tributing the life and times of Don Rickles, the comedian actor who portrayed so many roles and had his own group of ill-mannered members of the audience called hockey pucks. And, of course, he's a Queens, New York native. So why not we delve into his life and go about looking at this wonderful person who just passed away, 3 years ago. At the age of 90, unfortunately, we lost him, but, he lived a great life, and we're going to tribute to that today on The Legacy of Queens, Episode 4. And with just 11 days till Thanksgiving Day, what do you have to be thankful for? Well, lots to be in the next 11 days. Well, I know Don Rickles' family has a lot to be thankful for the many things that he's done for them. So let's look back at this wonderful man who decided to take his profession to new levels. So Rickles was born Don J. Rickles in Queens, New York on May 8, 1926 to Jewish parents. His father, Max Rickles, 1897 to 1953. He migrated in 1903 with his Lithuanian parents from Aquinas. Then in the Russian Empire, his mother, Etta Rickles, was born in New York City to Austrian immigrant parents. Rickles grew up in Jackson Heights. All of the information, of course, is from the Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. So after graduating from Newtown High School in 1944, he enlisted in the United States Navy and served during World War II on the motor torpedo boat tender USS Cyrene as a seaman first class. He was honorably discharged in 1946. 2 years later, intending to be a dramatic actor, he studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and then played bit parts on television. Frustrated by a lack of acting work, Rickles began performing comedy in clubs in New York, Miami, and Los Angeles. And he became known as an insult comedian when he responded to his hecklers. The audience enjoyed these insults more than his prepared material, so he incorporated them into his act. When he began his career in the early 1950s, Rickles started to call ill-mannered members of the audience hockey pucks. His style was similar to that of an older insult comic, Jack E. Leonard, though Rickles denied Leonard influenced his style. And during an interview on Larry King Live, Rickles credited Milton Berle's comedy style for inspiring him to enter show business. While working with the Murray Franklin's nightclub in Miami Beach, Florida, early in his career, Rickles spotted Frank Sinatra and remarked to him, "I just saw your movie, The Pride and the Passion, and I wanted to tell you, the Cannon's acting was great." He added, "Make yourself at home, Frank. Hit somebody." Sinatra, whose pet name for Rickles was Bullethead, enjoyed him so much that he encouraged other celebrities to see Rickles act and be insulted by him. Sinatra's support helped Rickles become a more popular headline performer in Las Vegas. And during a Dean Martin comedy celebrity roast special, Rickles was among those who took part in roasting Sinatra, and Rickles himself was also roasted during another show in the series. Rickles earned the nicknames The Merchant of Venom and Mr. Warmth for his poking fun at people of all ethnicities and walks of life. When he was introduced to an audience or on a television talk show, Spanish matador music, La Virgen de la Macarena, would usually be played, subtly foreshadowing someone was about to be metaphorically gored. As Rickles observed, "I always pictured myself facing the audience as the matador." In his 1958, he made his film debut in a serious part in Run Silent, Run Deep with Clark Gable and Burt Lancaster. Throughout the 1960s, he often appeared on television in sitcoms and dramatic series. Rickles guest starred in Get Smart as Sid, as an old war buddy of Max's, who comes in to stay with him. In an episode of Run for Your Life, Rickles portrayed a distressed comedian whose act culminates when he strangles a patron while imploring the patron to laugh. Rickles took a dramatic turn in the low-budget Roger Corman science fiction horror film, X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes, as a carnival barker out to exploit the title character portrayed by Ray Milland. Rickles appeared in the Beach Party film series. He recalls in his 2007 memoir that at a White House dinner, Barbara Bush teased him about his decision to appear in those films. Rickles' agent Jack Gilardi was married to Annette Funicello when Rickles was cast in the Beach Party films, and he subsequently began to appear more frequently on television talk shows, first appearing on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1965. He became a frequent guest and guest host, appearing more than 100 times on The Tonight Show during Carson's era. An early Carson-Rickles Tonight highlight occurred in 1968 when, while two Japanese women treated Carson to a bath and massage by foot, Rickles walked onto the set. He also made frequent appearances on The Dean Martin Show and became a fixture on the Dean Martin Celebrity Roast specials. 1968, Rickles released a live comedy album titled Hello, Dummy, which reached number 54 on the Billboard 200 album chart. And that same year, he starred in his own variety show on ABC called The Don Rickles Show, with comedy writer Pat McCormick as his sidekick. The show lasted one season. But during the 60s, Rickles made guest appearances on The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Munsters, The Addams Family, The Mothers-in-Law, Gilligan's Island, Get Smart, The Twilight Zone, The Andy Griffith Show, Gomer Pyle, and I Dream of Jeannie. 1970, Rickles had a notable role as Crap Game in Kelly's Heroes, sharing the marquee poster with co-stars Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland, and Carol O'Connor. 1972, he starred in The Don Rickles Show, which lasted for 13 episodes. He also starred in a series of television specials, and in his memoir, Rickles acknowledged the scripted sitcom was not well suited to his ad-lib style of performing. So starting in 1973, he became a popular comedian appearing on the Dean Martin Celebrity Roast specials. 1976 to 1978, he starred in CPO Sharky, which lasted 2 seasons. The series is primarily remembered for the cigarette box incident when Johnny Carson did an impromptu surprise visit during an episode's taping because he was incensed. Rickles broke his cigarette box while he chatted with Bob Newhart, who was sitting in for Carson as the guest host of the Tonight Show on the previous night's show. The incident was often replayed in Tonight Show retrospectives and was considered a highlight of the 1970s era of the series. Rickles occasionally appeared as a panelist on Hollywood Squares and was depicted in comic book form by Jack Kirby during his work on the Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen series, part of Jack Kirby's Fourth World. In the early 1980s, Rickles began to perform with Steve Lawrence in concerts in Las Vegas. In 1983, the duo co-hosted Foul Ups, Bleeps, and Blunders, an imitation of TV's bloopers and practical jokes. In 1985, when Frank Sinatra was asked to perform at Ronald Reagan's second inaugural ball, he insisted Rickles be allowed to perform and do it unrehearsed. Rickles considered this performance the highlight of his career. 1990, he appeared in the second season episode of Tales from the Crypt titled The Ventriloquist Dummy. In 1992, he was cast in Innocent Blood, directed by John Landis. In his memoir, Rickles wrote that he recalled Landis was a production assistant to Brian G. Hutton during the filming of Kelly's Heroes, and during the filming of Innocent Blood, Rickles would kid Landis by ordering him to get coffee or to run other errands befitting his one-time gopher status. In 1993, Rickles starred in another short-lived sitcom titled Daddy Dearest with Richard Lewis. And in 1995, he portrayed Billy Sherbert in Casino and voiced Mr. Potato Head in the Disney film Toy Story. He reprised the latter role in the 1999 sequel, Toy Story 2. Rickles starred as George Wilson in 1998's Dennis the Menace Strikes Again. And that same year, he portrayed a film theater manager in Dirty Work and voiced Cornwall, one of the heads of a two-headed dragon in Quest for Camelot. Rickles made a cameo appearance as himself in a recurring dream sequence in Subconscious, an episode of The Unit, which aired in February of 2007. A memoir titled Rickles' Book was released on his birthday on May 8th of 2007 by Simon & Schuster. Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project, a documentary about Rickles, directed by John Landis, made its debut on HBO on December 2nd, 2007. And Rickles won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Individual Performance in a variety of music program, besting a number of notable comics, including David Letterman, Jon Stewart, and Stephen Colbert. Rickles remarked, "Stephen Colbert's a funny man, but he's too young. He's got plenty of time to win awards, but this may be my last year, and I think I made it count." On second thought, it was probably just a Mercy Award for an old man. Rickles reprised his role of Mr. Potato Head for the Toy Story Midway Mania attraction at Disney California Adventure Park for Disney's Hollywood Studios and in the 2010 film Toy Story 3. He was reportedly slated to reprise his role in Toy Story 4, but died before recording any dialogue. With permission from Rickles' family, Josh Cooley used hitherto unused archive recordings of Rickles for the 2019 film to honor him. In 2009, Rickles appeared on Kathy Griffin, My Life on the D-List, and met Griffin's mother, Maggie, to fulfill one item on Maggie's bucket list. In 2010, he appeared in a commercial during Super Bowl XLIV, as a talking rose, and appeared on the 37th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards on CBS TV on June 27, 2010. In 2011, Rickles reunited with his Casino co-star Joe Pesci in a Snickers advertisement, highlighting the actors known for their short fuses. Rickles also portrayed the late husband of Elka, Betty White, on Hot in Cleveland, a surprise because his character was thought to be dead. May 28, 2014, Rickles was honored by Spike TV's One Night Only, an all-star comedy tribute to Don Rickles. Recorded live at New York City's Apollo Theater, Jerry Seinfeld was the master of ceremonies for the 2-hour special, with live monologues by Johnny Depp, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Jon Stewart, David Letterman, Tracy Morgan, Brian Williams, Regis Philbin, Amy Poehler, and Tina Fey. Recorded segments included bits from Bob Newhart, Bill Cosby, Jimmy Kimmel, and Eddie Murphy. The camaraderie and the comedy made the show a cross between a traditional roast and a dignified Lifetime Achievement Award, spanning emotions ranging from admiration and gratitude to, degradation. And as the evening reached its climax, when Rickles got his say after all that had been said about him and his nearly 60-year-long career, fittingly, he had the last laugh. He was still a frequent guest on late-night talk shows, including Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, among other late-night shows during the later months of his life. On May 11, 2015, Rickles appeared as a guest on one of the final episodes of The Late Show with David Letterman. He also made a cameo appearance in Grandfathered. In the 2014 interview, Rickles dismissed thoughts of retiring, stating, "I'm in good health. I'm working better than I ever have. The audiences are great. Why should I retire? I'm like a fighter. The bell rings and you come out and fight. My energy comes alive and I still enjoy it." Until his death in 2017, despite being impeded by multiple surgeries following a bout with necrotizing fasciitis in 2013, Rickles continues touring across the United States. March 14, 1965, Rickles married Barbara Sklar of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he admitted having a very difficult time romantically in his 20s and 30s, finally meeting Sklar through his agent when he was 38 years old and falling for her when she failed to get his sense of humor. They had 2 children, Mindy Rickles and Larry Rickles. And according to Rickles' memoir, his grandchildren, Ethan and Harrison Mann, are much more impressed by his role as Mr. Potato Head than by any of his other achievements. Rickles befriended mobster Crazy Joe Gallo following a performance at the Copacabana in 1972. Gallo, whom Rickles had ribbed mercilessly during his set, despite being warned not to do so, accepted Rickles' ribbings in good humor and invited him to Umberto's Clam House after the show. Rickles declined the offer, and that night a gunfight erupted at Umberto's, killing Gallo. Rickles performed at the inaugurations of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush with his friend Frank Sinatra, although Rickles himself was a lifelong Democrat. He considered Bob Newhart to be his best friend, and their wives were also close friends. Rickles and Newhart appeared together on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno on January 24, 2005, the Monday following Johnny Carson's death, reminiscing about their many guest appearances on Carson's show. The two also appeared together on the television show sitcom Newhart, and for previous episodes of The Tonight Show where Newhart or Rickles were guest hosts. They and their wives often vacationed together. And unfortunately, Rickles died of kidney failure on April 6th of 2017 at his home in Beverly Hills, California, a month before his 91st birthday. Rickles was interred at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery. So for Rickles' 88th birthday in 2014, a number of stars helped celebrate it with a televised special entitled One Night Only, an all-star tribute to Don Rickles. Those involved who gave tributes to Rickles included David Letterman, Jon Stewart, Jerry Seinfeld, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, Nathan Lane, Tina Fey, and Amy Poehler, Tracy Morgan, Johnny Depp, and Brian Williams, and Regis Philbin, and so on and so on. And upon hearing of Rickles' death, a number of television hosts paid tribute to his comedic talents, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, and David Letterman among them. Barbra Streisand, Tom Hanks, Billy Crystal, Mel Brooks, Tim Allen, John Lasseter, Whoopi Goldberg, Ron Howard, Conan O'Brien, Chris Rock, Patton Oswalt, Jim Carrey, and Ricky Gervais all paid their respects on Twitter. Bob Newhart said in a statement, "He was called the Merchant of Venom, but in truth, he was one of the kindest, caring, and most sensitive human beings we have ever known. We are devastated, and our world will never be the same. We were totally unprepared for this." Martin Scorsese, who directed him in Casino in 1995, stated, "Don Rickles was a giant, a legend, and I can hear his voice now, skewering me for being so lofty. I had the honor of working with him on many pictures, including Casino, and he was a professional. He kept me doubled over with laughter every day on the set, yet he was a complete pro." At the 90th Academy Awards, the Academy honored Rickles in their annual memoriam segment. Toy Story 4 was dedicated to him, as well as animator Adam Burke. And there you have it, folks. The life of the comedian who called his audience hockey pucks. We give it up for the tribute to Don Rickles here on the Legacy of Queens. Well, I hope you enjoyed our series today, episode 4 of the Legacy of Queens. We will look for more people to talk about on episode 5, and we'll post it here. You know, let's see if we can look at some people who might be celebrities, or not just celebrities, but people of Queens in general. Let's see if I can search the Wikipedia real quick. Okay. Let's see what we can look at here. Notable people. Let's see. We can look at... Oh, here's a very strikingly person who's still alive today and is doing very well in his career. And, in fact, he's still singing. And what a way to go close to the holidays and not tribute this guy. Next week on episode 5, the legendary singer who is still doing his thing at the age of 94, Tony Bennett. Next week on the Legacy of Queens. I'm Jason DeCanio, hoping you have a great day. Let's do some soul searching. I will see you next time for another great episode right here on Anchor and Spotify. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David3000 Network for great more content like this one.